On the first day at work, we are taught one simple thing. Everything should follow the rules, everything should follow the process. But very quickly, something feels off. Following the process gets called inefficient. Asking for confirmations gets stopped with "it's fine." And somehow, responsibility still stays with us. Slowly, one problem becomes clear. The rules still exist, but they no longer protect anyone. Usually, we are the ones paying the price. If this situation feels familiar, then we are already standing inside an environment where rules have started to fail. Luckily, there is a way to deal with this. Over 2,500 years ago, a group of Chinese thinkers fixed the same question. When order starts breaking down, how do ordinary people survive without being slowly crushed by chaos? Their answer became known as the Chinese Legalist tradition. Legalism is a system built on rule-based order. Different positions face different risks. For most of us, we are people constrained by rules. Legalism does not tell us to follow rules harder, it tells us something colder. Do not place safety on goodwill or personal kindness. Where rules no longer protect us automatically, three things must be checked very carefully. Is responsibility clearly assigned? Are boundaries clearly defined? And are the consequences predictable in advance? Without these three, rules become exposure, not protection. Before talking about what to do in practice, let's first look at the middle-level executors who are facing the same situation, but their risk becomes much higher. Over the long term, this is something most people will eventually face. In unclear systems, risk does not flow upward, it flows inward. Layer by layer, pressure moves toward the middle. For middle positions, failures is no longer just about performance. It can decide whether we remain inside the system at all. So, what does this look like in practice? Before a test begins, if potential risks are visible, the first step is not personal judgment. We should report the risk upward. We explain where uncertainty exists and ask whether leadership confirms continuing with the original plan or whether a backup plan should be discussed. Once leadership accepts the risk, execution is no longer based on guesswork. It's based on confirmed judgment. At that point, execution simply follows the confirmed direction. This is not avoiding responsibility. This is returning discussion power and execution power to their proper place. If problems appear later, the conversation changes completely. The focus is no longer, "Why didn't you think about the risk properly?" or "Yes, I said you could do it properly, but I didn't tell you to go this far." Instead, discussion shifts to whether risk evaluation was accurate and how damage should be repaired. In this structure, risk ownership is clear. Boundaries are established beforehand, and worst outcomes are already understood. Action is no longer a gamble, it becomes a rational choice with no cost. But one thing must be said clearly. Legalism wasn't truly written for executors. Its warnings were aimed at rule makers. It warns decision makers of one thing: Do not expect people to obey rules because of power or moral virtue. Any system relies on violence or goodwill to function is already unstable. Rules must be simple, rewards and punishment must be consistent, and enforcement must have no exception, even for those who create the rules. Otherwise, rules lose authority and disorder returns. If this sounds abstract, history has already tested it. Ancient China experienced this exact collapse. The Zhou dynasty once relied on the ritual role as the foundation of social order. But when the rulers themselves broke the rules, others followed. What came next was centuries of chaos and war. Legalism is not an ideal way to live. It is an emergency logic for collapsing order. When rules are stable, we can talk about trust, morality, and community. But when rules begin to fall, legalism forces one question first. Can this system still allow people to survive? Understanding legalism is not about becoming colder. It is about staying in act when order starts to fall apart. I'm Little Bamboo Yayue. I want to share these ideas with you in my own voice. If you'd like to hear more about Chinese philosophy, subscribe and stay connected. See you next time.